So, what's up, guys? I have my very special friend, Michel Hernandez.
Yes, good job. There you go.
I said it. I have my friend on the couch with me today, and I'm so excited for her being here. And we're just gonna talk a little bit about her story and what God has brought you from. And yeah, I'm not gonna say too much, but I'm just gonna let you talk.
My story, huh?
Yeah.
So I feel like I have lived 3 lives already, but I guess I'll just start from the beginning.
Okay.
I am a child of four siblings. I have 4 siblings.
Yeah.
I am the youngest. Let's see, single parent household, that whole thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that I didn't have necessarily like a normal childhood.
Yeah.
But let's see, growing up, single parent household, I have 2 half brothers. They were in and out of my life. But I had my sister. She's about 2 years older than me. We lived in Rhode Island. And let's see, my environment there, it was pretty, I would say as a child, like lonely. My mom, she did her best trying to raise us. And as a single parent,
Yeah.
hard. She came from the Dominican Republic when she was 12.
Yeah.
To the States and barely knew any English. So she struggled in that area and trying to
Yeah.
just do her best to keep a roof over our heads and do her best. I think that she was someone who was definitely concerned about our well-being, but she was never really emotionally involved or aware of my like school
Yeah.
or things that were happening in my life. I think she was like a typical parent where Hispanic parent where it's like, do what I tell you to do
Yeah.
and not tell you why
Right.
to do it or not to do it. Just do what I tell you to do,
Right.
kind of thing. Just listen to me. So there wasn't really much of a relationship as far as, a real relationship. Like, mom, I can come and talk to you
Yeah.
or anything like that. And I'm just saying that because growing up, even in school, like I wasn't diagnosed until just recently that I had ADHD or whatever. So school was really hard for me.
Yeah.
My sister, on the other hand, she was really book smart. She was like the total opposite of me.
Yeah.
But growing up, yeah, I felt like school was really hard for me. I was like a loner or someone just that I was very quiet, kept to myself. I was a really good student. My teachers always loved me, even in high school. I think that's why I passed.
Yeah.
Honestly,
It was your behavior.
Yes, my behavior. I was very respectful.
Yeah.
I was very quiet, but I always kept things to myself.
Gotcha.
I didn't necessarily have people around me who would like, hey, how you doing? Or anything like that. It was just, you're a kid. You just go along with whatever's happening in your life, so to speak. But yes, school was really hard for me. Didn't have many friends. High school, I think, was the worst. Oh my gosh. Let's see, 14 years old, going to high school. I went to the worst high school ever, Central High School. Remember that? Yeah.
We're not really shouting y'all out, but we definitely say y'all the worst. Now just playing.
It was the worst. And yeah, I think that's where things really took a turn there for me in my life. My sister went to classical high school, which was right next door. And that's what for the smart kids, guys. That was for the smart kids.
Okay.
But yeah, 14 years old. So I'm like speeding up. 14 years old. High school was terrible. I was getting in fights. All these girls wanted to fight me. I was not aware that I was a pretty girl. And this is when things like the jealousy, like I started like noticing that whole thing. And so high school, like throughout the years, fighting, girls hated me. I was friends with boys because there wasn't that drama. Giving you like a context.
Yeah.
Let's see. Got into alcohol, smoking,
Yeah.
other things that I don't think that I need to like really share right now, but just for the sake of time.
Yeah.
But it was a hard upbringing. I had a really bad relationship with my brother, my oldest brother. And that was throughout my childhood. He was very abusive physically, emotionally.
Yeah.
And even, I got it.
Okay.
I got it.
I got you.
That was the space where it was someone who I felt like should maybe, as a big brother, protect you.
Yeah. I got you, girl. Yeah.
I have a relationship with him now, but I think just when you talk about these things, they just brings a lot of emotions up. But he was someone in my life who should have been And coming from him too, he was like, oh, I'm your big brother and all of these things. But along with that, I think just his upbringing, I know he was broken too.
Yeah.
We had different fathers. I know his father was a certain way. And I think that he just learned from him.
I got you.
And so he was just doing what he was taught. Or what he, not even taught, but what he saw. Because his father was never really a father, so to speak. And so that was hard too, growing up. And even in my high school years, there were days where I would go and just sit in the back of the classroom and hide.
Yeah, because it was tough.
I would have a black eye, or so things like that. And I thank God because of where he has brought me through. So many things, but just I'm sad for that girl. For that little girl that
went through that trauma.
Went through that trauma and didn't have her father to take her under her wing and help her or protect her. And so as I'm here trying to share, I feel bad for her. I feel sad for her because it's not easy being a young girl, being a child, and not having that. And that also led to, as I got older, just growing up and having all this male attention. And not knowing what a good man is, or what does that look like? What does a healthy relationship look like? And so I had a lot of attention from males, and that led to a lot of also mistakes. And with that being said, I feel like I tried my best. I always knew that I wanted a family. I always tried to be like a good person and just want good things. Like, I want a family one day. I want to get married and all of these things. And these men would come into my life and try to take advantage of that, because I think I was naive. And it was like, oh, here's this pretty girl, and let me just take advantage of her and tell her I'm going to give her the sun and the moon and the stars, and it would end up badly.
And isn't it like that? It's like this, it's like a storyline, and you see it in the movies where you see the person who is sweet and all those things, and they go through a period of trauma, and then it's take advantage. And you're trying to pick up the pieces. You're trying to keep your life together, even as a young girl, and then here comes somebody that sees that brokenness, and they're like, I don't want to say it's like an attack, but that's what they're doing. To take advantage of. But keep going.
Absolutely. And it was like, that's been like a cycle. And it's, oh my gosh, I attract like these broken men, and it was a cycle for sure in my life. And it was very difficult and very hard. And fast forward to when I gave my life over to the Lord. I was 25, I believe it was Mother's Day, 25. At this point, I had my 2 girls, and I was dating someone, but I gave my life to Jesus. And I think something shifted for sure, but the nightmare wasn't over.
So what led to you giving your life to Jesus? Were you
honestly,
just around? Tell me about that.
It's funny because, and there's so much that I have skipped a lot of things.
No, it's good. It's good.
My aunt, there was an aunt that I had, and she was 32 when she gave her life to the Lord. Like, she pretty much became a nun. And when on our vacations, which was to New York, to like my grandmother's house or apartment, whatever cousins were there, she would take us to church on Wednesdays, right? And it was the worst thing ever. It was Catholic church, and it was like very, very structured, and you can't chew gum. You have to be quiet. So it was really hard. But she would take us to church in those moments. And then I do like the prayer. They would have like prayer sets, and we would sing that stuff. So that's my introduction to the faith, or to God. But they would frame God as he's in heaven, he's watching you. And when it rains, that means that he's sad. Those are his tears. And it's because you're doing something bad. And it was that kind of like, that's how I saw God.
Put that fear in children.
Yes,
should
exactly.
Not be there, but I got you. I got you. I'm tracking.
So that was my introduction to the faith. But I always did believe. And I carried that through my childhood, and I was always aware. But what led me to give my life over to Jesus that day, or how that happened, was my sister had a best friend, and her sister was going to a church. They would always talk about her and say that she was in a cult. And because she was always cooking for the church or going to these events.
Yeah.
She was giving them their money, her money. And so that's what I heard about it. So my sister and her friend went, don't go. Don't ever go. But for some reason, that day, I went. And they did an altar call. I didn't know that it was an altar call. I was like, oh, if this is your first time here, raise your hand. Come, we want to come pray for you.
Yeah.
The power of God just fell on me. I was not expecting that.
Come on.
I got baptized in the Holy Spirit.
Come on.
Yeah.
Let's put a pin right there.
Let's
get a pin right there. You come from visiting your auntie's church in a Catholic church. Then you go to your, what relative is this?
No, it was in my hometown.
In your hometown?
Yeah, in my hometown, and it was a Christian church.
Okay, then you ended up going to a Christian church
because I
fell under the power.
Yeah, and it was I was.
What a contrast! Come on, keep going. It's so good. It's good.
It was amazing, and it was like, it was beautiful.
Yeah,
the experience was beautiful, and then I felt like the enemy knew what was happening, and it was like he inserted this man into my life.
Yeah.
Who was, here we go again, physically abusive, very jealous.
Yeah.
Like at this point, I had my 2 girls. What attracted me to this person was he was very good with my girls, right? And I perceived him to be a good man and all of this stuff. But as the relationship got more serious, he started to become really very jealous and all these things. And he became abusive physically, emotionally, like all those things. And to the point where I tried multiple times to get away from this person, but he would find me. And just so there won't be drama with my family or whatever, I'd had to go back.
Yeah.
At one point, that's when I moved to New York with my aunt and tried to escape, run for my life, so to speak. And then he found me again. So I went back, right?
Yeah.
Just because he was causing trauma and just a lot of problems for my family in New York, for my aunt. But I went back knowing that I was going to leave, right? But I remember one day, and I felt bad for this person. I know he really loves me.
Yeah.
That whole thing. Ladies, please do not fall for that. That is not love. If you're being verbally, physically, especially abused, that's not okay.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. And it was God himself who I heard him tell me, this is not love.
Yeah.
And that was like the first time that, you're right, this is not love. And I remember this. I said that day, if he puts his hands on me one more time, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I tell you not, like, I'm not even lying. 5 minutes later, this man comes into the room where I was just in the bedroom watching something, and he thought I was watching, I don't know, some male figure on the TV. It was just like, I think it was a movie or something like that, to tell you how sick this person was. And, just pounced on me.
Yeah.
Because of what I was watching. And I was like, and the Lord was just talking to me. Like 5 minutes later, this happens, and that was it. I went to take a shower. I took my girls, left through the back door with whatever we had on our backs, and I think it was like 2 days later, to California.
Wow.
I moved to California.
Wow.
With my 2 girls.
And you were
I was in Rhode Island at that time.
Island.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
That was courageous.
It was like, it was like, no. And God was like, this is not love. And it's amazing how women in these situations stay. Yeah. Right. It's, you actually feel bad for that person. Like, no, like when you see this person being normal and they're kind and all these things, that's who they are.
Yeah.
We want to believe that.
Yeah.
But it's not. And so I was like, that's it. For my girls, I was like, that's it. I'm leaving. So I left to my mom's. Mm-hmm. And then from there, my sister was living in California. She was baptizing my nephew, and she wanted me to be there. And so I left.
Yeah.
I left and I stayed there. And then 2 years later, I met my husband.
Yeah.
My now husband.
Later. 2 years.
It was like,
wow.
Almost 2 years. I'm like 2008, because I left 2006. I'm like trying to make math. My math is not mathing right now.
Listen, it's okay.
But it was like shortly after. It wasn't that long.
Yeah.
So to speak.
But even the reason why I put emphasis on like the 2 years, and not necessarily like the 2 years, because we're not counting the time or the dates, but it's like the fact that how God he'll restore if we let him.
Yeah.
And he'll let us stay in a place that we want. If we want to stay in a mess,
absolutely.
he'll let us stay in a mess. but he will always give us a way of escape. And when
Absolutely.
you were talking about when you had the opportunity to leave and take your girls, I kept thinking way of escape. Yeah. Because he loves us so much that he wants the best for us. He does. He don't want us to live in a mess, but if you choose it, he'll let you stay. Yeah. But if he's, I have another way for you. I have a better way. But who would have ever guessed that you would have moved to California? Like that's, we got to get into this. This is just so good.
I think that was, the Lord providing, because like I said, I could not get away from this person. Yeah. And the Lord had to pretty much pick me up and open that door in California, like go all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast. And it was a miracle. It was a blessing, because things could have ended up very different. Yeah. And I remember at that point in California, I was like, okay, Lord, I am a new believer. I'm trying to work this out. And I just remember driving one day and just saying, God, I give you my love life. Yes. Like I surrendered that. And yes. I was like, because I see all these patterns, I'm like, I obviously cannot trust myself to choose a partner or a person. Yeah. And so I remember in the car driving and just saying, Lord, I give you my love life. Like you are enough. Yeah. And let me tell you that something did happen in my heart. Like something shifted to where I was okay being alone. Like it was okay. Yeah. Being a single mom. It was okay. And like I had this peace, this perfect peace where I was like totally okay. Yeah. And it was beautiful. And I was like, Lord, when you send me someone, I'm going to know. Yeah. Like I'm going to know. And that's what happened when I met my husband. However, I think we went too fast. So I'm plugging that in because I think many of us, even if God gives us a green light about someone, doesn't mean to rush into that relationship to get married, because both of us had so much baggage that it affected parts of our marriage. Yes, definitely parts of our marriage, things I think that we could have avoided. And I think that's definitely something that a lot of young people especially don't understand and don't have the wisdom. They don't really understand, why wait? Why go to premarital counseling? Yeah. That's something that I wish I would have done with my husband. Like we talk about it because we do couples coaching now. And so
we're going to get into that.
Yeah. But that's something that's definitely so important. Just because you have a green light or feel peace about a person, you don't understand the baggage that they're carrying. Yeah. Like when I met him, he had 2 girls also. Yeah. From a previous marriage, and I had my stuff as well. And so I passed a lot of things. Yeah. There's, the word of God is so important because there's structure, there's order, and there's law. There are laws for a reason. It is to protect us. That's true. And if we only saw it that way and knew and understood, I think we would be more cautious. Yeah. And patient. If all the things. Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. Like the patient, love, kind, all the things, because you're going to the source. And once you go to the source, then you'll see it, or the fruit in your life, you'll see it reflected in your life. Oh, Michelle, this is so good. Yeah. Man, I want to talk about this fashion thing. I was trying to let it go, but somewhere in there you had a niche for fashion, and I want to kind of
I always love fashion. I love colors. No. I told you, I was like, if I had the finances, I'd be dressing.
Listen, all of us would be like Gucci down, Gucci down.
Not Gucci. No, I don't. I don't like the Louis Vuitton, the Gucci, that kind of branding.
No knock.
Sorry. No knock. It's just me personally. It's different. It's more about colors and just things.
I just have an eye for it.
Yeah, I love when I see certain colors together and certain fabrics, and just I love all that stuff.
Yeah. Every time I see Michelle, she's always so put together. So I had to mess with her with that. But you literally have a love for fashion. I want you to talk about that and how your escape, all of that was inside that transition.
No,